Hello, you drop shot and Ned fishing bastards. Hope the day's going all right for you. I'm amazingly depressed, so I'm not even going to tell you how my fucking day is going. Uh, Suffice to say, I've been extremely unmotivated to do pretty much anything today except drink coffee and eat a couple fucking eggs and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and sit around in my comfy shit for winter. I haven't turned my TV on, played some telephone games because I've got an extensive amount of them. But I wanted to get to the point of making a video about these heads. Now, a little backstory, I am not a fan of shaky head fishing, but it is extremely effective when other things don't work, even Ned and drop shot. So cannot deny that there's a factor of versatility that you have when you have shaky heads in your pack. They use a lot of the same baits, and that's a factor. Now, these ones, these divines from Sixth Sense, I have the 1/4 3/0. Okay, I have them in black. I with heads. If I'm putting worms, I like to just have green pumpkin or black. I believe black is just kind of a universal color. It is kind of a wide head, so if you have a smaller worm diameter, it's gonna see that whatever's looking at it, but hopefully the action of it going through the water will kind of mitigate that. They have a really cool angle to them. The thing that I like about these heads is that there's like about a 20-degree angle on the eyelet from the main shaft. It's 3/0, but it's a wide gap. And with the screw lock, which I prefer, I don't like the slip-on collar versions. I like the screw locks because I think the baits last longer and they angle much more directly toward the hook. They are very positive in activation when you turn a worm on. I like to run exposed, so I get the worm lined up perfectly to where it's right at that point where the point's on the top. The thing that I don't like with shaky heads is the way they drag on the bottom. I've just never been a fan of it. But these heads are fairly exceptional, so I give them some credence for that. They sit really, really well and balance. You know, I'm sitting there with old shaky hands and it's still sitting there. The eyelet is just slightly, if you look at it, just slightly lower than the flat, just slightly. And what that does, and they don't say this, but I know from fishing experience with jig heads, heavy cover jigs and whatnot, that a flathead that has an eyelet that goes past the the head contacts the bottom and transmits up the line. So if something happens, it's even more than just the head itself giving you input. Uh, Excuse me. So kudos to Sixth Sense for that. They have this like 20-degree. They have this back about 20 degrees. It gives it a very unique water stance. It's almost vertical, but not quite. So the worm itself is almost at like a 90, almost, but the hook is right there. And what do bass do when they get something off the bottom? They come down and grab it, right? They don't swipe from the side very often. They will more so with a Ned, because a lot of times they'll come in and they'll root into the bottom to get the Ned. So with ones like these where they're up off the bottom but they're on the bottom, they'll come down and they'll swoop, or they'll come sideways and they'll swoop. That hook and that angle is phenomenal. And I'm somebody that does not like shaky head, and I'm saying that. So it's a great design, and the thing of it is, their packaging, they think about everything. Clamshell to the top. It's just really cool. Nice design. Information is really easy to read. $5 for 3. Nice custom heads. I am a local business supporter to a high extent. I usually get my shakies from Matthew Picklesimmer of AZ Leadworks, or the Copper State ones that another local guy makes. I like the round shaky heads. I don't really care if they're bare. I prefer them painted. But I like the round ones with the screw lock because they tend to rotate in the dirt more and move the worm in more ways. But these ones are made very well, and the the worms that I got new, I've got tons of worms, but I got the X zones. Now the cool thing about the X zones is that they're a high float plastic, but they are sprinkled in the mixture with a fine salt. So there's kind of there's a buoyancy and a neutrality at the same time. They have kind of a rainbow trouty type pink purple on the bottom laminate. They are perfectly laminated. There is gold and purple primarily flakes in this. It's mostly gold and purple. It has a lot of flash factor to it, and it's very translucent. But even in dirty water, they show up really well. I was actually impressed. Bass will see these very easily. I think there's a certain amount of fluorescentness to it. There might be some UV factor to them. And on drop shot, these things move fantastic, man. They move absolutely phenomenal. So I took these heads. I got one on my medium heavy right now. I have a 7-foot medium heavy Zodius Shimano and a 2500 XH Kage 6:2 ratio that I bought from my friend David for way less than it was worth. And thank you, David. It is an insane rod. I went ahead and lined it with 30 yards of 10-pound P-line tactical fluorocarbon, 80 yards of 15-pound Daiwa J braid, and another 16-ish feet of the same 10-pound tactical, so that the diameter is basically unilateral down the line. The line has zero flex. 10-pound tactical is a very inflexible line. So it lends itself to the more reaction bottom flukes, that type of thing that a heavier rod would kind of be good for, but still has tip, but it's stiff backbone. Frogging, it would be a great frogging rod. I used to have an Akuma. Can't remember what the name of the rod was, but it was a 7-foot heavy that had a pretty decent parabolic tip to it, but a shit ton of backbone. The spacing for where the reel sat was phenomenal. Had a Fluger Trios 2500 on that, and that was a frogging rod for me for quite a while. I had straight 65-pound braid to 15-pound big game Berkeley. It was ugly, but it worked. I would throw those magnum size poppin' frogs and hit Papago and Evelyn Hallman and kick ass. But I prefer bottom baits. Reason being, in my opinion, and I've got a lot of time on the water, in my opinion, bottom baits, no matter what bass are feeding on primarily, will always elicit the biggest fish to hit. I know swim baits work. I used to throw glide baits all the time. Big paddle tails from Jared Arias. And, I loved it, but my shoulders gave out. So I can't do that anymore. So I started doing finesse. I actually had 2 years solid before I started glide baits, where I put away everything I was doing, including panfish, and did nothing but drop shot. Nothing but. No Neds, no curly tails, nothing. Only drop shot. And I actually made a four video series on that. In fact, I rebranded my my YouTube and my Facebook. So now I'm the Arizona Panfish Bandit on YouTube. Got quite a few videos. I'm very monotone, just like now. Very boring, but I get a lot of information out there. And just the bottom baits appeal to me more. I don't like the way that shaky heads of the square type like this drag through the water, but the way that it places the worm, I looked at it on the shoreline off the drop off. It looks natural as shit, man. If something in a lake does not eat that, then they don't want to feed. It's that simple. It looks so good in the water. I just don't like how they drag. I don't like how they pick up stuff off the bottom, even when you rig them weedless. With a open hook net, I can pop grass off easily. With a drop shot that's Texas rigged, and a long leader, I can keep them out of the grass. So there's advantages that the others have that the shakies don't. But when nothing else works, shaky head will usually produce. And Ned is that one that usually produces when nothing else does. But when it doesn't and you put a shaky, there's just something about that. And my friend Jeff, he has this mindset where he'll take a shorter bait on a shaky head so that it's just wobbling. It's almost like it's a crawdad or something. It's like a cross if you were going to do a Ned and a shaky head at the same time. And I've seen it really work well for him, actually. I've actually considered it. I've got some craws that are high float, the Paca craws, that would work good on these heads. So I've kind of been inclined to try that out. I haven't thrown them on that yet. Those Pacas, I probably will, the next time I get on a boat with them, medium heavy in these heads, I'll probably put the Pacas on because the tail portion that you actually put forward is the same width as these heads. So it would look really, really natural. I've actually thrown those Pacas on BKK 1/8 Ned heads, just bare, and they've worked pretty good as well. So I didn't want to make too long a video. I made one before and I expounded way too much. I was talking about personal stuff and I didn't need to do that. So I just wanted to limit this to bait stuff. And I'm going to, in future videos, try to do that more. I tend to expound way too much into things that don't have to do with fishing, and I'm trying to eliminate that factor. So if you have an opinion on that, please let me know. I would like to know. Thanks, guys.